A lot of your songs are about or for the labor movement and those kind of struggles.
They come out of the labor movement. They're working class songs were written by working class people for working class people. And I learned those songs from old timers in the labor movement, you know, sitting in a bar or in a crummy hotel, letting one of our senior partners in the firm tell me the story of their life. That's where the songs and stories come from. Came out yesterday from Spokane, Washington. Brought Mark Ross along from Missoula, Montana to play the guitar. And came out especially for this. And I wouldn't have missed it for the entire world. It's good to see all of you here. One of the old wobbly songs. We have fed you all for 1,000 years, and you hail us still unfed, though there's never a dollar of all your wealth. But Mark's the workers dead. We have yielded our best to give you rest, and you lie on a crimson wool. And then it blood be the price of all your wealth. A good God, we have paid in full. There is never a mine blown skyward now, but we're buried alive for you. And there's never a wreck drifts shoreward now, but we are its ghastly crew. Go and reckon our dead by the forges red and the factories where we spill. Then it blood be the price of your cursed wealth. A good God, we have paid it in. We have fed you all for 1,000 years. For that was our doom, you know, from the days when you chained us in your fields to the strike of a week ago. You have taken our lives and our husbands and wives and called it your legal share. Then it would be the price of your lawful wealth. A good God, we have bought it fair. What's happened is the labor movement has got itself not just painted into a corner, but into the middle of the room. There's nothing left to do but dive for the chandelier. The trouble the labor movement is in is defining the issue as jobs, jobs, jobs. You know? Well, hell, German workers lined up for the jobs to build concentration camps. Those camps weren't built by Nazis, they were built by pipe fitters and bricklayers, you know? If the issue is jobs, you know, the issue is not jobs, the issue is what we do with our labor, you see. And you can't tell me that if somebody came up with a final solution to the Puerto Rican problem or the black problem in America, that American workers would line up for the jobs to build the camps. You know, that's not what the American labor movement is about. It's a social movement intended to transform the entire life of America, the entire life of the world. And I think that unions who insist on defining the issue as jobs should take the sign union off the front of their building and put up employment agencies. I was thinking about coming here over the past month, deciding what I wanted to sing, and thinking about the lessons that I and all of us have learned from the Haymarket martyrs, from the anarchists. Among many of them, the most important that I've been able to carry with me through my life and share with my children is the habit of reasoned disobedience. These people buried here taught me to be ungovernable. Save that, I become, and you become, we all become our own best government, and we can do it better and cheaper than they can. I bring this song from Spokane, Washington, and I offer it to the people who are buried here. The new ruling party is holding the aces. The rest of the cards are all missing faces. I'm sorry I can't know you today. What can one say? I will not obey. Give us your sons and give us your daughters. No one is safe or immune from the slaughter. How indifference makes them rage. What can one say? I will not obey. National Guard or freedom fighters, all houses belong to cigarette lighters. But who hides in the smoke? What can one say? I will not obey. Better perhaps to perish outside of the bunkers where our generals hide. I turn away and spit. What can one say? I will not obey. Give us the minds of your children to learn the substance of books we have not yet burned, but can they read the sky for rain? What can one say? I will not obey. Soon all tyrants will feel our impatience. We choose to create our own combinations. I was always willing to agree. What can one say? I will not obey. The essence of contract is agreement, not coercion or obedience, and agreement is sacred. What can one say? I will not obey. There are so few wars of people's liberation, where the people have so seldom risen. Only the armed faction, listen, the armed faction lies. They recreate the state through their action. When the people rise, it is not they, but the state which dies. I sing this song for the prisoners' release. Most of all now for the new state police. You see, the guns have changed hands. Again, what can one say? I will not obey.
The construction people, heavy equipment people, dug the hole. The ironmongers framed it up. Drywallers came in, the people hung the outside, the plumbers came in, the electricians come in, all working with the same blueprint, right? This massive act of cooperation. They had to know what each other were doing. They had to be talking. It went up. And then they put their tools in their box, and they went home, and a bunch of parasites who had never shoveled any dirt got it, you know, to make money out of it. It's a stupid idea. It's really a dumb idea. So you see, that building isn't there without massive cooperation. You know, how it's used becomes a competitive part of it. But yeah, that's the most important lesson. The cooperation is better than competition. The boss stops fighting, and he says, okay, you've got power, you know how to use it. We're going to give you access to our system. Set up your political action committees. Get politically active and elect your congressmen and your senators to Congress. And we will achieve legislatively what you would normally achieve over a bargaining table. It was like a carrot on a stick, you know. It just pulled, it pulled all the organizing energy, all the direct action out of the work site and put it in Washington, where the job has not get done, is not getting done, okay? How long does it take us to learn that that was a ploy, that was a con? You know, that was a con. We were winning, we were doing good, we were doing okay. But no, you know, it's essentially labor's leadership sold out the rank and file, and gradually the rank and file became excluded from managing their own destinies, managing their own economic destiny in the workplace. Go home and watch television, we're taking care of it. See? And we're not taking care of it.
Would you have your troubles scattered, then dump the bosses off your back? Are you almost split asunder, loaded like a long-eared jack? Boo, why don't you buck like thunder and dump the bosses off your back? All the agonies you suffer, you could end with one good whack. Stiffen up, you ornery duffer, and dump the bosses off your back.
Big Bill Haywood visited the Union Hall up there and heard him, you know, stupid try to speak, and took him aside and said, You're planked into those trees up in the cedar bogs, and you climb up there to swing that axe. You take these Union songs and sing them at the top of your lungs. Sing them as loud as you possibly can. And he did that for week after week, month after month. And this is stupid talking. He said, there was a big rally. Emma Goldman was there. I was supposed to stand up and speak in front of her. So I spoke, and then she got on and spoke. Afterwards, she came to me and said, when you got up to speak, you notice how all the people in the front stepped back? You got to tone it down a little bit. But he had a foghorn voice. You remember the stupid kid. You could hear him anywhere. He raised $5,000 a year on his own hook. He was a tiny guy shaped like a barrel. But he lived on a little rocking chair check, but he made up these books called Stupid Sayings About Practically Everything. There's a whole bunch of them out here. They sell them on street corners or make signs to put in windows. Political signs, or signs with just nonsense on them.
Make love not war. Why don't you get married and do both?
That's one. You know, the thing about nonviolence was the two people were fighting. Who's the first one to pull a knife? The one who's losing. The idea that violence is the weapon of the weak. And then there's stuff in there like bird in the hand ain't worth nothing if you're trying to blow your nose. You know, the hand that turns the doorknob opens the door. Stupid. He was a piece of work. He was, like I say, the father figure of the local branch that met in the public market. And he would sit there and pontificate, and then they'd have a meeting. I got him, you know. One night I said, stupid, we were at a branch meeting, and I was playing through. I said, stupid, what is a good wobbly? Said, a good wobbly is somebody who has a paid-up book. You son of a bitch, he turned to me, you know, because the delegate had his rigging out and hadn't had a book in the union for about 30 years. Son of a bitch. We got his book back. You know, we got the money. Stupid, mobilized kids in the neighborhood. 3 kids. He said there's enough to go around if you learn how to share it. So he got those kids together, and he'd worked in the forest. He was restoring a filbert orchard that was owned by the city that hadn't been worked for years and years, trying to restore it. One of those kids picked some mushrooms and made a mushroom stew, and the stupid ate part of it. If he'd been there, he'd known better because those mushrooms are death caps. And it's the only orchard in that part of the Northwest where you find death caps at that one spot. It took him about 3 weeks to die because his liver, you know, gradually disintegrated. And then they had a wake for him, and I went up to it. And everybody turned out, and it went from sunrise to sunset. And everybody stood up and spoke. Even little kids who'd just seen him in town, everybody stood up and spoke about fellow worker stupid. And he had asked me, right after I first met him and got to know him better, he said, write a song about me, write a song for me. About all the things I conscientiously try to resist in the life. And yeah, sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm lousy, but write a song anyway. And the song that I sang at his wake was, oh, I have led a good life full of peace and quiet. I shall have an old age full of rum and riot. I have been a good lad, careful and artistic. I shall have an old age coarse and anarchistic. Once I paid my taxes and followed every rule. Banker, boss, and bureaucrat thought me a willing tool. I voted Democratic and paid the church its due. Now all those swine will have to find some other chump to screw. Of interest, banks, and credit, insurance, tax, and rent. Of lawyers, agents, generals, and clerics I repent. With this for corporations and scorn for those elected. Oh, I shall be an old bum, loved but unrespected.
Can I leave you with one sublime anarchist sentiment? Never own anything you have to feed or paint.